Hi, this is um, another impromptu live stream. I did I dressed up like this because I was interviewing somebody, one of the drag performers, Sherry Vine. She's going to come on for a second time. There were a lot of views in the earlier video. You can go through, look through on the website, and you should be able to look through on the YouTube channel, and you should be able to see uh, Sherry Vine with her nice face and so forth. I didn't only want to interview her a second time because of the views, a lot of views I got, or that the interview got. I wanted to talk about songwriting and about body shaping and wigs and so forth. So that's going to be coming up soon. I'm looking forward to it. It was a good interview, good interview. But I wanted to talk about what I've learned in terms of songwriting and where I am right now. Um, I learned, by the way, that doing that I could change my background, so you don't have to see this stupid wall. Not that, for the it's sad news to those people who enjoy this boring wall back here. But I did a Zoom interview and I figured out how to create a virtual background. The trick is figuring out how to do it on YouTube on these videos right here. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'm sure there's some way of doing that. Okay, back to my main point. So for those of you who don't know by this point, for those of you who are new, who haven't seen the previous videos where I always mention Samantha Bahar, I developed this female impersonation alter ego, Samantha Bahar, and the thought occurred to me while I was practicing my vocal skills to speak in a feminine voice, a feminine register, that that practice, that exercise, is also what many, if not all, singers do. It's probably also good health. If you don't do it too often, it's probably good health for your vocal cords. So I thought, gee, I haven't been able to go forward in terms of film. I haven't been able to go through. Here, let me talk directly to the camera. I haven't been able to talk. I haven't been able to move forward in terms of screenplay writing or television writing, but perhaps I can perform locally as Samantha Bahar. And after that thought came to mind, I thought, just like with my female impersonation, I don't want to make it cartoony. I want to make it seem authentic. I want to make it as authentic as possible. So check back in my earlier stream where I talk more about this. But I came up with 5 albums. All right. There are 3 albums drawn from my personal experiences. And then there's a Jewish concept album, and there's a Halloween concept album. And I like the way in which I came up with song ideas for my Halloween album, because I didn't just do spooky spiders and ghosts and cobwebs and so forth. Each song comments on something, like how do I do this without being censored or whatever on YouTube? How do I conform myself to YouTube standards? Zombies. I thought, what is very scary about zombies? And it took me back to Michael Jackson's Thriller music video. And when I saw that some years back, I was watching the video and I thought, these are real people. I mean, of course, it's a music video and they're actors and dancers and whatever, but the concept within the realm of the music video itself, these would be people who had been alive and who are now deceased and no longer with us. And the scary thing isn't so much, I think, the scary thing isn't so much that how ugly or grotesque or whatever. It's it's an interruption of the healing process. That's what a zombie is. It's somebody who's been, you've grieved, you have you know buried the dead, and now this person that you've loved has been reanimated, but not with any mental coherency. So so I took a topic from that people deal with. Many people, unfortunately, deal with. Um, in term, well, I'll say dementia. I think I can get away with saying that, dementia and so forth. Um, and the song is really my song about zombies is really about that. And and there's another one about ghosts, and there's another one that if you've ever seen the movie Ghostbusters, there's a song in there about something like it's going to be a hot night tonight. And I thought of that, and I thought of Prince's song, very famous song, 1999. We're going to party like it's 1999. And I thought of Doomsday and Halloween being at that point the day between I think it's Celtic, whatever the culture is, the time right at midnight between one year and the next. And during that point, that transition point between the previous year and the upcoming year, it's a time when space time, so to speak, is flimsy, and you ghosts could kind of, or creatures from the other realm could kind of soak through and enter into our world. And I wanted to sing about the end of time and doomsday in a unique, interesting, with unique, interesting takes on the concept of doomsday or the end of times and so forth. Something like 1999. Not to get religious or the Book of Revelation or Apocalypse or whatever, but in terms of things ending, and very climactic, very action oriented climactic song. And offhand, I don't remember the other song. Oh, there's another one about female empowerment and like blended with witchcraft and sorcery and so forth. And wanted that in there. And I don't remember if I have other songs in there or not, but you get a flavor, I hope, of the kind of material I'm going for. I'm not going for, I've said this a zillion times, but I'm not going for just superficial stuff. I want to get into the heart of something to sing about. And so that's the same thing with my Judaism album, concept album. So those are the two. And then there are another three that are just drawn from my own personal experiences. So I wondered if maybe I should fine tune those experiences. Would 5 albums be too extraordinary, too off-putting? Maybe I should focus in and get my best stuff. And I've heard this. I think I've read or heard this from other artists where they will release good material, and then they'll have material that may be recorded, may not have been recorded, just working, but they don't feel that it's um, up to par or something they necessarily want to publish or record. So I wanted to fine tune the best stuff I had, put it into maybe one album, but it's tricky because there are three. Let me see here. Um, so I have my notebook here. Um, yeah, so I put together some of my important stuff. Now, in terms of those 3 albums, I draw from 3 kinds of personal experiences. I draw from a former relationship. I draw from, let's me draw from personal relationship. Supernatural, interest in the supernatural. Sorry, my hair. Speaking of supernatural, and family. So, former relationship, supernatural and family. And I took the songs that I could remember, meaning they stood out in my mind because I just previously done a live stream, very long live stream, showing the songs, various songs. So I had them in my mind already. So for the former, the past relationship, I had, um, and this is wouldn't be the order, but these are just the strong things the strong topics I feel should be songs still on there. Like they passed the muster. Um, the mermaid song I had in mind being about um, things that you are unsure whether somebody else would still appreciate you if he or she saw these things in you, or these traits. Not necessarily that you're ashamed of them, like a mermaid might be. Like if you knew that I was a mermaid, would you still love me or still appreciate me or still, think about me, so forth? Would that change anything? Kind of like the Little Mermaid, the Disney's The Little Mermaid. Um, so that's a parable, or an allegory for what I was really going through in real life. Um, Another one about a phone call where I've definitely felt afterward. Well, let me see. Let me kind of go in order here in terms of experience, so that the album would flow better. Um, Neuro, the feeling of feeling different. That might be the first song, in terms of my experience. So you have like an arcing storyline here. Um, Feeling of feeling, the feeling of being different, and neurodivergence. In other words, being not neurotypical, thinking in different ways, and difficulty in communicating, difficulty in socializing. It's not, as I've said this a million times, like I didn't have difficulty. I wasn't very shy. I just sometimes would talk in these different ways about different topics, and other people, I think, didn't know about them, or didn't couldn't grasp them, or what. And so there's a little schism, and I believe there are many people, maybe everybody has felt that way at some point. So there's that, and then that leads to, in terms of my personal experience overall in the flow, um, trying to break the cycle, like break the ice, like open up, try and make an effort to reach out to somebody. And then the mermaid song, and then let me see, um, then after that, a phone call song where, like for example, I've had an experience where, or in my experience, I have just reached out to friends or former acquaintances or somebody to, hey, I feel sad, I feel crummy, can we just talk for a while? um and I that very much belongs in a song. People can relate to that, I hope. People can relate to, I no pressure. I don't want to, I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to, like, it's nothing more than, I just want to talk and share because you're a human being, and we have something in common, and I'm really hurting right now, and can you please, let's talk this, you know um you're a friend, and let's just talk it out, and so forth, which is somewhat different. It's like somebody in pain, and like you're bothered by something in life, and thank goodness you have a friend, and you just want to call the friend. It could be late at night. You're just you're you call, and you're just thinking, I want to take help. I want this friend to help me take this load off my mind. Um, because if friends aren't there for you for that, then what good are they as friends? um, and then I had another one. Maybe this would be the final song, but a desire for reconciliation, in terms of this former relationship, kind of, sort of. relationship, just for reconciliation, just kind of like the phone call song. Um, and that's something people can definitely relate to. And I want to say that I've learned a lot even since I had composed these songs, this discography, uh, with less than a year ago. I remember basically, I think I'd been laid off August 8th. I'd been laid off. So right about that time, I started developing these songs, these song track topics. And so it's been less than a year, and since then I've healed myself. I myself have healed, and I don't want to create a song that's out of date emotionally from where I am now, because I've grown. And in the future, if I hopefully do sing these songs, I don't want them to be out of date, just emotionally, maturely out of date. Um, so that's where I guess I currently am. And then in terms of the supernatural, um, I still have that alien Peter Pan um, song in mind. I think that's beautiful. If you haven't seen the earlier video, it was inspired by me, my own interpretation of the Melissa Etheridge song. I think it's by Melissa Etheridge, called "Come to My Window." Um, I, having been avidly reading, voraciously reading books about UFO abductions and UFOs in general, and ghosts and Bigfoot and so forth, Sasquatch and so forth. Um, I naturally thought of an alien at the window, like an alien abduction. But I the lyrics in the song seem very happy, and seem like you could come to the window, and we will both fly, we'll both leave for a while, and we'll spend time together. That's what the essence of the song seemed to be. Of course, there's more to that song, but uh, that essence can carry over into here, in this alien song, where you have something like Peter Pan, or something like "Don't Fear the Reaper," that song by and that's the Blue Oyster Cult. Um, somebody, hi, Ibrahim Adam, hi. You're the first one in the chat. Here, let me say hi back. I'm still learning here. There. Okay. Um, I hope your day has been good. Um, so it's like, don't be afraid to venture beyond what society thinks of as normal, or mundane, our reality. Be more imaginative. Um, so there's that song, and then there's another song, "Deeper and Deeper," which I totally am convinced I have a different take than Madonna had when she came up with her song "Deeper and Deeper." Um, Mine is kind of a reverse, or a mirror image of what she had in mind, I think. I think she was like embracing free love over what her mom and dad taught her. Kind of, she was moving outside, is my guess. It seems moving outside the restrictions of what her mom and dad, or what society at that time, her upbringing, whatever, told her, conditioned her to think that true love is. And it's very freeing, and you can see her in the dance studio and so forth, very smiling, very much. um I had a different take. Here's my take. All right, so I didn't have any preconception. I just heard the song, and she has repeated she quotes her mom and dad repeatedly, saying something like, your dad. Here, actually, why not? Let me just, well, it would take too long. Basically, I got the impression, something very nice. Actually, maybe I should here. I'm just gonna look up quickly what the lyrics are. Deeper and deeper. It's funny that you can come up with lyrics. You can come up with a totally different impression of a song than what the artist probably originally intended. All right. So the lyrics are deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And the way it's sung, it reminded me of in Kabbalah. It reminded me of the Ein Sof, the this divine essence of the universe, and manna coming from heaven, and it's tasting so sweet, and you're almost in basically you're going into ecstasy, um, because of the sweetness of this manna from heaven. Um, she sings, "I can't help falling in love. I fall deeper and deeper the further I go." Something like what I meant, the ecstasy. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. This is so wonderful. This feels so wonderful. Kisses sent from heaven above. They get sweeter and sweeter the more I know that I know. Okay. Here, I'll get to the father bit. Round and round you go. When you find love, you'll always know. I let my father mold me. Daddy couldn't be all wrong. Not going to let you slip away. I'm going to be there. Now, of course, this speaks about differences probably in upbringing. My mom, and I do want to make um, a tribute to my mom. But I had a very open-minded mom. I had a very caring and just a wonderful mom. Um, Very philosophical. So when I heard this, I interpreted, when you find love, you'll always know. I let my father mold me. Daddy couldn't be all wrong. Um, I interpreted that in a positive way. I meant that I interpret that to mean, when you find that daddy was singing to her and telling her, reminding her, when you find love, you'll always know. And then she has, and my mama made me learn this song. You're going to bring your love to me. I'm going to get you. That's why I can't help falling in love. I interpret that to mean, um, um, my mama made me learn this song. In other words, this teaching, this lesson in life, when you find love, you'll always know. My mama made me learn this song. In other words, my mama reminded me and made sure that I knew that when I find love, I'll always know. And then the lyrics go further. All is fair in love, she said. Think with your heart, not with your head. That's what my mama told me. All the little things you do will end up coming back to you. I see that in a positive way. All those little things. In other words, if you think with your heart, sometimes, not always, but I mean, when it comes time for that, when you think with your heart, you do kind things for other people. You do kind things for yourself. All those little things you do will end up coming back to you. It'll be good karma. When you're in a good state, when you think happy thoughts, when you have a loving heart and you show kindness towards other people, they will show loving kindness to you too. And then she sings again, Daddy couldn't be all wrong. So, all right. So that may be very different from the interpretation she originally intended. I don't know. I still like that that interpretation. So deeper and deeper. So that feeling of ecstasy and the Ein Sof. For those of you who don't know, a quick Kabbalah lesson. Um, Kabbalah is like related. It's part of Judaism, but it takes elements um, that are in Judaism, and they're different texts. They're mystical texts. Um, and in some sense, it's very profound that it's difficult to explain what Kabbalah is. But okay, so the Kabbalistic creation myth is that, sorry, that at the very beginning there was just the Ein Sof, and then the Ein Sof emanated outward these different worlds, and there's a pipeline. So all the worlds are connected together, but through not appearance, through like misperception. We think that the worlds are different. There's a sense of division between one world and another and so forth. But that's an illusion. At some point, all these worlds are linked together. But for certain reasons, to be able to move around in the physical world, we have to have a sense of illusion that things are these. This world is separate from that world, and so forth. So the Ein Sof feeds or emanates light through these different worlds, and the light is like a life force. It energizes. It's a life force. And so I read into that deeper and deeper. The light emanating out and receiving the light, and you're in connection with the divine and ecstasy and so forth. Something like her other song, like a prayer, which ironically, I know she's very Catholic, but it has double meaning. The song does have double meaning. I know, I'm aware of that, but in some sense, in the fact that it has her in the song desiring to be one or have some communion with God, um, seems very Jewish in my mind, very Kabbalistic in my mind. So I've always wondered if she thought that she could see some Kabbalistic sentiment in that song or what. I hope I get to ask her at some point. But anyway, that's my own fantasy. um, so those are oh, and then in terms of family, um, so the third category of songs, uh, my mom hearing voices, hallucinatory voices, and me growing up and that impact upon me. I want to sing about that. That's just very important. It deserves, I can't write these songs and draw from my own personal experience and just leave that out. And another thing is her death. And that had an impact on me. And I'm just generally philosophically curious about death. And I'm also philosophically curious about whether YouTube will let me say that on the air. But um, and then peering through the window, um, it's that image of either peering inside or peering outside. I guess peering inside at, for example, like a party where these people could be rich people, they could be very educated people, they could be whatever, the people that represent this kind of world that you wish you could be let into. And so my mom's side of the family, it seemed that they had, my cousins and so forth, it seemed that they have had more opportunities than I did, even though I think genetically I'm capable of, and my mom, through my upbringing from my mom, I'm capable of so much more. And it's that desire, that wish, like pain, that wish looking through the window. I want to be in there. I have these different traits. Um, and, don't I deserve to be in there with the rest of them? I think that's something we can all relate to. Um, so Okay, so that's my album. My fine tuning effort to shorten those 5 albums. Well, 3 albums. I like to have the Halloween album by itself, and the maybe the Jewish album, the Judaism album by itself. But I want to fine tune these songs. I haven't. I wrote some of the songs, but I haven't performed them, and of course, a lot of stuff has been in my life right now, so it sidetracked me away from that. But I want to get back to that, and I've learned. I don't want to risk playing YouTube videos, but all right. So listen to some 1980s music. I've heard "Hungry Eyes" by Carmen. What's I think it's just Carmen, something like not the religious singer, I don't think, but a different Carmen. The song from the soundtrack to Dirty Dancing, "Hungry Eyes," and Misfits of Science, the theme song to that, and Prince, and these other artists and so forth. Um, there's something in the background, and clearly there's something in the foreground when you hear a song. There's somebody singing, and it's not so complex. It's not as complex as I had thought. Um, there's this repetitious melody, and it's an ostinato. Somebody called it an ostinato. I don't remember the exact definition, but basically the ostinato is something repeating. So that's where you have the different instruments coming in, and repeating in a pattern. Now, there may be what I call flourishes. There may be little bits popping up here and there, but that's a little bit added into basically a song um, with a song, with a singer singing lyrics and this repeating pattern. So I have GarageBand. Um, I'm going to work more on developing what I call ostinato should be for each of these songs. And of course, the key of C, the key of D, and there's a chord progression. There's a chord theory. I can't the I'm the it's basically music theory. In terms of what helps you figure out what key to have it in, and what are the similar notes and chords that match and so forth, chord progressions. So it's less daunting now than I thought than it felt a year ago. um, and I see what I did was I some night I just like 2 in the morning, I wanted to write a poem, and so about how I felt, and I thought that would be one exercise to get me motivated, to get me back into music writing. So I just, like I did in high school, senior year, I wrote out a line, and then I wrote out another line, making sure that the last word of the second line rhymed with the first line, and then two more lines for a whole verse. So there'd be four lines. The first two, the final words ending, rhyming, and then the final two lines, the final words rhyming, and then a new stanza. Very simplistic, but um, music is basically that simple. So I just have to come up with melodies, and I'm very much more a poetry person. So I've learned from song structure, at least in the from 1980s music, and I think for the most part, music in general, popular music anyway. It's with variation. There's a verse, and then a chorus, and then a verse, and then a repeated chorus, and then a break, which would be a variation, an instrumental variation on the chorus. Uh, Probably, usually, nothing sung during that, and then the chorus is repeated again at the end of the song, and then you can add little bits here and there, but that would be the skeleton. That's a good template to start off with. That's a template. Um, so it's a lot simpler, and I felt held back, or at least I saw myself as holding myself back potentially, worrying about, or being so concerned about having a melody to write the lyrics to, and then trying to meld the two together. But from experience, from what other people have said, in their own videos or things I've overheard, and so forth, they sometimes just start with a song, a melody, or they just happen to start with words they want to put down. So I think I'm going to simply structure my lyrics, write my lyrics, write my chorus, and then try and match it to a melody and write to the side how I want this song to feel like and write little notes. Don't make it too complicated. I know I have thought that. I mean, I have realized don't make it too complicated. Just simply express what's on your mind because they're two different aspects of the mind. And going back to Kabbalah for a moment, um, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, there are columns of nodes, and three of them are related to the head. Three of them are related to the arms and heart, and then three are related to the legs and what's between the legs, and um, and then there's a foundation at the bottom called Malkut, kingdom. But going back to the head, one node is this flash of insight. Oh, I should say at the very top there's what's called the crown that has a whole other fascinating depth of study. But below that, you're talking about the head. One node is embodying that flash of wow, what an idea, and then the counterposing node, um, whether left or right, I can't remember. But the counterpart to that is the node embodying filtration. It's editing in terms of an artist's work. One is the rough draft. It's like what people call the vomit draft. Just write out whatever. Just don't even think about it. Write out what you want to say. And then the other node is editing and filtration. The two are very different. Uh, and then, of course, the triangle. So there are two, and then it goes down to a triangular point, and that's da'at, which would be knowledge. Um, I want to take you back for a moment, back in history, to the 1990s, particularly 1993. I'd been using my computer to write scripts, write spec scripts for TV, like Night Court. Of course, none of them were published. I sent some of them in to the production companies. Naive me, I thought maybe somebody will say, "Oh, wow, this is a good script," and then call me and make me millions of dollars or something. But and get how would you like to move to Los Angeles? Or something. But no, that didn't happen, alas. But I was writing these scripts, and I had some practice. At least it gave me good practice. Um, I didn't plot it out so much as I had it in my mind. I think, if I remember correctly, it's Woody Allen who once it was said of him that he said of himself, he doesn't think, he doesn't plot this all out. He just, was it Woody Allen or somebody else? Somebody. He doesn't plot it all out ahead of time. He just writes. But of course, my counter argument was, well, you've written so much that your brain probably is rehearsed in outlining as you type, as you write. So it's probably conditioned into you already from years of experience. I think in very different terms. When I was writing, I had here. All right, I'll take you to college. When I was in college, I wrote Cerberus, which was an alien chase crash story. It's a thriller sort of. Alien craft crashes into the Pacific Ocean, and there's several different groups, kind of like an X-Files style story. They're all got contactees and the military and private investigator and so forth. They're all chasing after this, and plus the recovery craft that comes to rescue the craft recovery ship that comes to recover the craft, and they're all racing against time and undoing each other's actions and so forth. So I had that in mind, and I had several movies. For example, Earth versus the Flying Saucers. I was heavily basing it on that. Like, it was a heavy inspiration. Not that I was copying, but like that feel. It's something that people call a lookbook. When you're proposing a project, when you're pitching a project, you could create something called a lookbook. People in the movie industry do this quite often. If you're an art designer or a film designer, or just like a storyteller or art designer or something, you use pictures from either other movies or just pictures in the wild out there. You assemble it together like an album. Basically, it's an album. A lookbook is an album showing people, I want the craft to look something like this. I want the mood to be dark like this. I want the movie's colors to have this pattern. Because believe it or not, you may or may not have caught on that movies have a definite color palette. If you've ever seen thrillers, you probably don't see many bright colors. If you see The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, well, aside from the black and white at the beginning and the end, it's very bright colors. If you see romantic comedy, you're probably not going to be seeing lots of dark grays and blacks and browns. You're going to be seeing bright, vivid colors. Um, so there's a definite color palette that matches or ought to match the genre and the mood that you're dealing with. So so you put that into a lookbook. Now, where was I going with the lookbook? Um, anyway, so so like UFOs, flying saucers. Oh, so the Earth versus the flying saucers, and I had X Files on my mind. So in my mind, that was kind of like my thematic lookbook. I wanted to feel like Earth versus the Flying Saucers, 1956 black and white film, great. Something like Independence Day, sort of, but in a 1950s telling. In some ways, I think a lot of ways, I think Earth versus the Flying Saucers is better told than Independence Day. But um, I had in mind that. And from all that reading, write what you know. All that reading I did on typical UFO investigator, probably hot, scientific background, hopefully, um, in contact with other investigators, um, has his or her personal qualms, and opinions and attitudes and contactees with their, I read all about this. So I wrote what I knew. So I had a general sense. I knew 120 pages roughly for, each page being a minute long. So about 100 minutes or 120 minutes. And then I just wrote scenes that I had in mind that must be in there, what they would call pillar scenes. Like, for example, in E.T., um, pillar scenes. You've got to show the alien on Earth for the first time. You've got to show some sense that the craft has left. You've got to show Elliot laying out the peanut. I hope I'm not spoiling it for anybody who hasn't seen like this 40-year-old movie, 40-something-year-old movie, but laying out these. They weren't M&Ms. Boy, what a really stupid move. From what I've heard, Eminem rejected their plug in this movie. Plugging M&Ms in the movie. So I think it was Reese's Pieces that came in, and so he lays out either Reese's Pieces or he just lays out little candy bits. But Eminem had the chance. Mars Inc. or whatever had the chance, and they blew it. So um, free advertising and a worldwide blockbuster hit. Anyway, you got to have that scene. You've got to have some sense of communication between Elliot and ET. By the way, for those of you who didn't catch on, take the first letter in Elliot's name and the final letter in Elliot's name. I'm sure that's not coincidence that it's ET. Um, it took me a little while to figure that out. So I had these pillar scenes in my movie. Got to have the crash. Got to have an exciting Air Force, like in Top Gun. Again, I go back through my inventory of scenes I've seen. I think not Rodriguez. What is his name? Quentin Tarantino does this with his films. I'm almost positive Quentin Tarantino I'm almost willing to bet Quentin Tarantino takes this stuff, takes goes through his own mental inventory of favorite scenes from movies he's watched. He's made a career out of it, basically. He's taken inspiration from earlier movies. He puts his own spin on it. He tells his own story, but clearly he's drawing from earlier. And George Lucas, I could go on a separate topic on this. There are moments in Star Wars, like the Searchers. I think it's the Searchers, where I think John Wayne's character goes and sees a destroyed city, and I think it's also in the samurai movie, The Hidden Fortress. He sees this destroyed town, and people have pinpointed that as an inspiration for George Lucas putting in the destroyed home, the smoke emanating from Luke Skywalker's home. When he comes to see his um, unalived aunt and uncle in the destroyed smoking home. Um, there are shots like that. There are moments like that where people will put it in their movies as homage sometimes. Just sometimes they'll just come up with it. Maybe it could be accidental, but I think a lot of times, certainly, it's put in. George Lucas is intentionally putting this in, put in um, as an homage to get the person to see this, recognize this kind of scene, this kind of setup mimics a scene from an earlier movie, and then compare the two. I want to say this. I want to say this for a while, that one of the dangerous aspects of modern society. Here's me on a soapbox. Okay, um, I think as a society we're losing. Here's where that neurodivergence and neurotypical comes into play. Um, we're losing our ability as a society to be able to find and notice allegory. Everything has to be black and white. And that's why I go to the Bible. Let me rephrase that. I don't go to the Bible because of it, but I go to the Bible and I don't see it literally being true. That's fine. It's philosophy. I don't, the whole Torah, I don't believe, don't tell my rabbi, but I don't think any of the Torah was what actually happened. I don't believe it was literally true. However, it's very emotionally and philosophically true in many ways, and in underlying ways underneath the verses. I was going to say verbs. The verses. It's the structure itself. There that you lose. I want to do this sometime. There are structural patterns and so forth that come out if you see it. Go to Moshe Klein's website, CHAVER.com, and he shows diagrams of what the books of Moses look like in what he's found, the patterns and so forth. So anyway, they're philosophically true, but not literally true. And too many people in our society see it as just black and white. Well, it's either real and it happened, or it's baloney and it's bogus, and therefore there's no value to it. Holds true for Star Wars and Star Trek as two examples. If you meet somebody who loves Star Trek, loves Star Wars, that's, I guess, what I could call like more of a neurodivergent person. It's a person who's capable of seeing beyond black and white, only what's real and not real, thinking beyond that, thinking philosophically, more open-minded. And we're dangerously dangerous. I don't mean dangerous like, oh, we're going to get more debt or something, incur more debt. No, I mean like really, really dangerously as a species, as a society. We desperately need to hold on to the ability to make allegory and compare things and see similarities, differences between things. Um, I think that's gone into our music. I'm glad I remembered this because I wanted to mention it. Um, the artist's ability in music, for example, to be able to be vague enough so that it's universal. It speaks to each of us. no matter our backgrounds, it speaks on a philosophical, generic level, universal level, um, that we can apply these verses to our own lives and see their meaning. There's like a universal meaning. I'm like Plato. I believe like Plato that there's a an abstract, perfect form, and that we're in kind of shadowy in our existence. We kind of see shadows of this perfect form. Well, I believe there are universal philosophical points, and I once, for a while, I tried to list the philosophical points I could. And I put them together into a book that I put up on Amazon bookshelf bookstore, and nobody's bought any copies. But um, I should go through and revise. And that's been a few years since it's been a few years past. But all right, getting to my point. Um, there are certain universal truths and universal statements, and that's why music works so well. That's why film works so well. That's why TV works so well. And it's a shame that um, I can see what the author is getting at. What is this universal truth? Like people should be friends, or I mean, that's very, very limited. But like if someone is there to ease the burden on you, it's very valuable. He's a very valuable friend, something like that. Universal truths that we all experience as humans. Um, and I hope we dare not lose the ability to see that. Um, I wonder if now I haven't listened to modern music often. I'm aware of some modern music like Beyonce and so forth, and Dua Lipa, like Levitation and so forth. But an Umbrella, it's good songs. But there's a sense of a difference in terms of how well between today's music and earlier decades music, in terms of how free the artist, the songwriter, the filmmaker, the TV writer um, was able to use analogies, to use allegory, to use illusions. That's not illusion, but allusion, like you're alluding to something here. And hopefully the audience will pick up what you're alluding to and see the connection. And there's a larger, wider meaning to it. That's it, the larger, wider meaning. People just think too literally, and they have to see the wider meaning of something. Um, then again, I think Freud said sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. So there's not deeper meaning in everything. Just saying, I wish our society were more open minded to at least the possibility, or just open minded to letting it in, or noticing it, recognizing it when they see it. So I guess that's where I am right now. It's about 53 minutes. So thank you, Ibrahim, for saying hi. And those of you watching, I want to give a shout out here to my own website. Let me pull it up here. It's vvproductions.media. And you can buy you can buy 7 or so different things. I want to add in more. Here, let me share with you here. You don't feel you have to have a truck in order to buy the trucker hat. And there's a nice white glossy mug, and all these things have my YouTube channel emblem on. And I want to add in a mouse pad, because I figure people watching YouTube probably have who knows now, they're all looking probably on their phones. But aside from that, um, here, they probably have a desktop somewhere. I want to add a mouse pad, and I want people to look at the website. I also want to add I have an Amazon store. I have an Amazon affiliate program membership where um, you can get a discount, and I get some percentage of it. I get a benefit from it. Like they say, you've seen in other YouTube videos, if you put in kick 10% or something, you'll get 10% off. You know what I mean? 10% discount and so forth. I do have that. I want to develop something more with that. What I want would be some kind of and apparently, according to the Claude AI that I use, there is a way of setting up a page, an Amazon bookstore, I think they call it, something like that, where I have, as you might know, this channel has different podcast topics. There's UFOs. There's Samantha Bahar in terms of developing music and female persona, and there's the Torah, and a bunch of other topics there. Oh, the Torah. Well, anyway, um, so I could categorize these in my Amazon page and put in recommended movies. In other words, recommended DVDs or books or magazines or whatever that you can buy on Amazon that's related to that topic that it's under, that or that subcategory that's under. And maybe that will help boost my channel and help you out. I can simply refer to it. Hey, look on Amazon. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard Art Bell, but he would say, you can look on my webpage and da 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 and find out more information. All right. So it's nearing an hour. So I'm going to let you go on that note. Spread news of this channel around Visionary Ventures. It's getting a little bit of traction. I'm glad to see the number counts, and I'm always glad to see people joining. And I want to do more with this channel. So, oh, and the money that comes in, first of all, goes to paying off my Verizon bill to keep this going. As they say, keep the lights on. So I wish you all good well. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you next time. Oh, and please stay tuned for that interview with Sherry Vine about songwriting and about wigs and body shaping and her experiences and so forth. All right. Bye.